Hello and welcome. I am here. My name is Annika Lundkvist, founder of pedestrianspace.org, which is an NGO and platform, a media and advocacy platform devoted to issues of walkability, the many dimensions of walkability and urban resilience. And I'm really happy to be here today with Bruno Morety, Munich-based Bruno, who wrote to me. I have some notes here, so if you'll pardon me, I have notes to read. So much to say, but I'll try to keep it brief before giving you the floor to introduce about what you do. About a month ago, Bruno wrote me on LinkedIn. It's a great place for connecting.
Mhm.
And wrote, I hope you don't mind me sharing, you wrote, I just want to say amazing work. I came across Pedestrian Space and felt immediately drawn in by what you're building. It really resonates. And I want to say, first of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to write. I think it's really wonderful when you're building something to receive feedback. As we know, constructive criticism is great, but positive feedback is also really wonderful. It's a balm for, your professional work, but also, your soul and your heart. I really appreciate people who take the time to do that. So thank you. You also wrote that you took part in a walkable Barcelona course and really fell for the walkable city movement. So that brought us to our first talk a few weeks ago, which was super interesting, which I learned more about what you're doing, your background, professional tidbits, personal tidbits. And I like to be able to use my platform, my digital space, and my virtual little corner in the world to help share stories and to help bring together people who are working with similar issues and connect dots across disciplines. So
Yeah,
let me turn it
yeah,
over to you and here let you share what you do.
yeah. I'm really happy to be here, Annika. Thank you for the invitation. I'm here and I come to you at some point because I'm in this mission basically of amplifying voices like yours, to basically advocate a bit better. I think we all need to become a bit better advocates for sustainable urbanism, and my niche specifically is mobility. So I think sustainable mobility and urbanism need to be taken to the next step. And I think it's a responsibility of all of us to be able to message and tailor our messaging a bit better with some tweaks uh, to make it the message more impactful, basically. So that's the mission I'm behind, and I work for it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same mission. But one thing that I was really, I would say, inspired by, and I'm often thinking about this, and clearly you are too. We found out that we had this common theme in our own approach. Well, first of all, as we reflect, we're working towards the same goals, and we discovered that we have a common shared commitment to transcend silos and reach more people.
Yeah.
So I would love it if you share a bit more about that, which I think connects with what you just said about how we all need to become better advocates.
Yeah. So actually, you will already excuse me when I don't use the same language that many of urbanists use, and that's for good reason. So I'm an outsider in the end. So I come from the business world. I was working in the automotive industry. Eventually, I take a step aside because of ethical differences, and I started to realize that if the community and the tribe is really vibrant, yeah, you tend to see the same people, you tend to hear the same messaging, and there are some words even that are a bit um, difficult to understand for us that don't come from the academic side of it, or are not practitioners of the urbanism industry. So that's when the idea came up, and I was basically just going over the messaging of all these leaders, yeah, that come from an academic side, or they were founders in companies. Um, and then I realized that there were some common mistakes. I classified it just to reach out there and make the message more impactful. And that's when I just thought maybe this is a corner where I could contribute from. So it's more like the average person that wants this to happen and understands and really vibrates and resonates with the work that you all leaders are doing, but doesn't quite belong, and then I can just translate this message in a specific way and tailor some stories in a way that resonates with broader audiences. And it's one of the mistakes is the one you mentioned. So I think we all like to get a round of applause when we attend some conference, and that makes all of us feel good about it. But in the end, mobility and urbanism is about cities, it's about volumes of people building community and communicating to each other. And for that, we just need all these people to like resonate a bit with the messages we send out there. And that's when I decided to make this write about these 5 mistakes and just share it out there for every leader that wants to take advantage of this. And yeah, that's how my educational email course was born for advocacy in the scope of sustainable mobility, so that more audiences get to hear and resonate with the messaging that the work you professionals in the industry are doing already, and it's just about uh, putting in evidence the value of all the work that you're doing every day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I mean, such an interesting layer of your background is having worked in the in the automotive industry, right? For me, I would say I'm a deep walkability advocate, but I shared this with you on the last call that I feel like I love what I'm doing, but I feel like I will really have that glowing moment when I'm in front of a large audience of people who don't know really what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
where I say,
Yeah.
have you heard of walkability? And nobody raises their hand because that's a moment where I'm reaching then an audience that um, that is not in the silo, that doesn't
Yeah.
automatically agree with me. Because if we're really committed to advocacy, that's about promoting change. So if we're just talking with people that constantly agree with us and sort of just debating together about things that we're pretty much already on the same page about, that's maybe a different spectrum of advocacy than some of the more I would say it could be even a bit scary because those audiences are not going to be necessarily fun in the beginning.
Yeah.
There's going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
possibly pushback, skepticism, but I feel like
Yeah.
that's where I want to be. Maybe you and I have some future sessions to lead together, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was well trained, like in just lounge conversations, like just having lunch. I mean, I would get this, like I would listen about like the prices of gas going up and down, and or the next car that was coming out. And I was trying to like bring this message about like, hey, but have you considered like moving around by bike? Yeah, that was one of my main um messages out there. I think the bike also has a lot of potential for urban mobility. Yeah, together with walkability, which was something I discovered in a posterior time. Yeah, and yeah, so I was well trained because I was talking to all these people that are honestly have a love for cars. Yeah, and they live this lifestyle. So I slowly learned how to tailor my message in a way that they would just be open to listen first. Yeah. It was not about convincing them about anything. It was just not about being labeled as an eco-fanatic or a hippie, and that they would actually listen to what I have to say, just like I was listening to their point of view. And that was a process. So it was not easy to break in, but eventually I realized, and those are the advices I give in this course also, like they don't care about CO2 emissions. They care about how they could live better. Like how could maybe they start from just enjoying a ride on the weekend. Yeah, maybe that was the first step into this, and just realize about all the infrastructure that was already there. Yeah. Um, so yeah, it was just trying to understand how were we already aligned, in which things were we already aligned, and leverage those to start a conversation and bring them to imagine something even beyond that. Yeah, so that's how I learned to do this, and that's the message I want to bring out there. Like I just realized about this small tweaks. It's just language. It's the way we speak that can change completely the perception, and we don't alienate all of those that still feel like they love or they need their cars because of their specific situations or life choices.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We don't have time today to unpack all of this. This is like a coffee break chat. But I really want to dig into, and maybe we should save it for again. I'm starting to get light bulbs going off in my head about creating a session together. But this love for the car, which I feel genuinely that a lot of people within sustainable mobility don't understand
Mhm.
that love that people genuinely do have. I don't know if it's because I'm from the USA and maybe because you're based in Germany that we're around, this mainstream populations that really do have that. It's
Yeah,
not shallow. People really
yeah,
do love their cars. So
yeah,
I think the way you approach this, leveraging alignment rather than judgment, of course, we know in advocacy, judgment doesn't work. So this is really interesting to me because there are, entire communities where the car is the most obvious mode, and there's a lot of people who actually genuinely will stick
yeah,
with it, even if you
yeah,
offer them another mode.
yeah,
So it's a puzzle, it really is.
yeah. And whether we like it or not, I believe that the industry mastered this this building a status around having a car. So if well, I don't align with their values, I think there's still something valuable I can learn from how they tailor their messages,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
or bringing people on board. And I want to use the same in favor of pedestrianization or utility cycling or the usage of public transport. So that was one of my ideas and what I'm working on. Like I'm continuously trying to build more ideas around this and just to bring this value out there in some format that maybe can help someone. And that's one of the angles I'm approaching right now.
I really like it. You said something earlier about when you were talking about leveraging alignment and these discussions that basically trained you and saying you're not, radical hippie or something. To me, also part of breaking this all down means, riding a bike shouldn't be associated with being a deep leftist or,
Exactly.
having a car it shouldn't necessarily, this is, I think, something we have to break down because it is the case in some cities and some societies. If you see
Yeah,
somebody in the depths of winter riding a bike, you can almost imagine what their political values are because in that city, it might be a radical act to ride your bike in the winter. Whereas other
yeah,
cities that have mastered fantastic cycling infrastructure and network, everybody, regardless of political affiliation, class, rides a
yeah,
bike. It's a very mainstream thing to do. It has nothing to do with your political ideology. So I feel like
yeah,
that's where we need to get to. And so you touched on that with these discussions you mentioned.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. So messaging remains really important to frame conversation and the narrative. So that's the corner I want to contribute from.
Yes, and when I share this, we'll share any contact information for you too. But I kind of want to round off. We have so much more to discuss. I think maybe we can do that in future coffee chats. Um, but I wanted to round off on a personal note. I hope you don't mind. I think it's nice to go back to something else that we talked about in our first um, talk, which, it doesn't always happen when you have these talks because we're speaking sort of in a professional set. We met on LinkedIn, but it comes up, and which I am also deeply grateful for that it can come up, that we can talk about this. I don't know if it was a shift that happened after the pandemic that made people more comfortable to talk about it, but you did share in the first talk that you were that parenthood, fatherhood motivated you in recognizing a lifestyle that where you're able to be there for your kids, and also that the entrepreneurial path. I'm sure any entrepreneurs listening who are also parents can maybe relate to this. You reflected that being an entrepreneur might, on the one hand, be more time consuming in some ways, but ultimately for those for whom the lifestyle fits, it's worth it. And this really resonated for me as a person running an NGO, a researcher, mostly working remotely. The ability to have that flexibility for my children is just priceless, And I grew up with parents who were at home entrepreneurs. I saw their lifestyle. They worked very hard. They might be working all day on a Sunday or Saturday, but then they have the flexibility to, maybe garden all day Wednesday or do their errands all day on a Thursday. So this flexibility to me is really something extremely important to talk about with work life these days, but also the parenthood part that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, you frame it in the right way. So for me, it was about flexibility. I don't believe that I will be working less, yeah, doing my own business, and it's not about that. It's about just being able to be present, to bring my kids every morning to school. And yeah, you mentioned it. So I realized I was going to become a dad for the second time. The message came, of course, like filled with emotions, and I was really happy about it. At the same time, I felt like, okay, now I really need to stick to my job. Yeah, because yeah, I have a family that is growing that I need to uh, provide for, and together with my wife that completely supports my venture. Um, but yeah, so we thought, okay, in the beginning we thought, okay, maybe we need to like stick to what we're doing, but the conversation was already happening on, I would like to do something with a bit more meaning to me, and I think we can do this together. Yeah. And then it was like I just shifted completely my mind and I thought, well, this is an opportunity. So I have a way to take this venture in a controlled risk way, meaning I can always, if I see that it doesn't resonate with anyone, my work, I can always go back and try again. Yeah. But I took parental leave basically to start to be able to dedicate to this 24/7 basically. And just the next day I got into parental leave. The next day I was sitting in a coffee just trying to figure out what to do. So I was just committed, and from there I've met amazing people. I reached out to so many leaders that resonate with what I'm doing, and that fills me with joy, of course, and it fills me with this feeling of that I'm doing something useful out there in an authentic way. Yeah, it's something that it's just really connected to who I am, to the dad that I am. Yeah, and I feel like here I can allow also myself to say that I do this because I want to be there for my kids. Yeah, there are other reasons, of course, and it's about values and it's about ethical differences. And I wanted to enjoy the city also, so I didn't need to sit in a specific office every day from 9 to 5. But in the end, they're really deep lifestyle choices, and my choice was to be there every morning for my kids, um, and then just be able to be there for them.
No, I think that resonates for me. I have a feeling it'll resonate for a lot of people listening, both the work with deep meaning and the ability to connect and be there with your family. These are, these are luxuries in life, I think. True. And they shouldn't be luxuries actually, but I feel like they are the true luxuries.
Yeah,
And it's special to be able to also choose them and to have that clarity
yeah.
to choose that path.
I think I actually wrote to you, Annika, once I saw that you were in a conference with your daughter. So then I felt like, okay, we're really aligned here. I will reach out. Yeah,
Yes, more conferences with kid-friendly programming. I brought my daughter with me to Urban Future. I was feeling a bit quite experimental because I am a person who has a partner who travels a lot for work, and I support him in that, and I appreciate being supported in what I do, but we do have two children, and I don't hire babysitters, I don't hire nannies, so I don't have the flexibility to go to so many of the great conferences that are out there. So for this particular conference, it was close to home. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to bring my daughter and start generating conversations with people on the ground about, hey, what if we had, kid-friendly programming? I'm volunteering. I will help create
mhm.
it. I would love to. So there's a lot of adults who I think go to conferences. The last thing they want to do is bring their rambunctious, young
Yeah,
children with them. But there are some people like me who I would love to be able to bring my kids, have a programming. If it's an urban related conference, again, I'm willing to help create that programming. I would love to see more of that. So yeah, that's great to hear. That's what inspired you. So maybe
yeah, yeah.
another thing to maybe collaborate on in the future for mobility conferences. That'd be so cool to have
Hmm.
a track for kids to be engaged, even if not kids that are attending the conference, of course, like engaging local youth and so forth, but also for people that are attending, adults that are attending. Maybe they want to bring their kids and have them participate in some way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this was great. I hope we can do this again, maybe follow up and touch base and get a bit deeper into some topics. In the meantime, I look forward to continuing dialogue with you and really happy that you reached out to me. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to, gradually develop our dialogue, and thank you for today.
Thanks, Vivenica.